So Trouble lives to dance another day. But before we get into Trouble's testimony, let's talk a little bit about Madam. She is in a dream, and it for her is a nightmare because the jury member stands up and says, "We, the jury, find Madam Madeline DeVille guilty of X, Y, and Z crimes, and we are sentencing her to the death penalty." And in this whole dream, she is no, please, no. She's like begging and pleading, and no, don't arrest me, don't lock me up. Like, she is doing the most. But then up walks Blue to Madam and says, "I got you, and now you're going down for the rest of your life." But y'all, like I said, it was all a dream. Madam wakes up, she pops one of her pills, and she has to compose herself. Now, let's get to these testimonies. We have on the stand Ronnie Mercer. Y'all know him as Midnight, and he says that as fact. Y'all can call me Midnight. So keep in mind, Madam didn't know that Midnight had been arrested, and she asked her attorney, Levitt, why is he in the orange suit? So anyway, the DA Rods comes up and she asks Midnight, "What is Madam to you?" And he says, "She's my boss." And she says, "So what? So your title is a dancer, right? Or a stripper, right?" And he says, "Well, the correct term is male exotic entertainer." And so Ronnie Mercer has said what he has to say, and he also continues to say that she's an amazing boss. So then Doc takes the stand and says she's fair, firm, and consistent, and she pays us very well, is what Babyface said. Then Fuego said she always supports us. And of course, we have Amp, who comes up and says that she's a pillar to the community. Say what? And of course, Dime says, "I admire her." So listen, the only one that didn't want to cooperate when they got on that stand was the one and only Tommy. Tommy said, I don't work for Eden. I work for Madam." And the attorney's like, "Why don't you answer the question?" He said, "Why don't you ask your mama to ask the question?" Then he says, she was like, "Judge, telling the judge to get Tommy together." And Tommy said, "You might want to remind your mama to stop blowing up my phone." And so they found Tommy in contempt. He ends up getting arrested, and the ish was hilarious. Now back to Trouble. We thought that Trouble was about to get up there and spill the beans. In the very beginning, it seemed as if she was going to, tell it all. But something told Trouble, "Don't you say nothing." And they had to take a break because as Trouble is up there on the stand, Madam spills coffee on herself. So when Madam does that, she goes out to talk to Smoke and tell Smoke, "Hey, I need you to go ahead and take Trouble out before she even gets on that witness stand." Now Smoke is like, "Let me see what I got that could take her out. I'm sure I got some in the car that could take her out like that." So anyway, Trouble gets on the stand, and Trouble is saying she got amnesia. They asked Trouble, "Have you ever been kidnapped basically by Madam?" And Trouble's like, "I do not recall what you're talking about. That's never happened. Haven't you been held in the basement? Haven't you haven't Madam basically mistreated you or tried to hurt you in any kind of way?" Trouble is like, "I don't recall any of that." So now Trouble is being held in contempt, and Davis ends up arresting Trouble for lying on the stand. So after Madam gets Trouble out of jail because of Levitt goes down and talks to, the whoever he has to talk to. He gets Trouble out of jail, and they go and talk to Madam. And so Trouble is going to be rewarded. Madam loves that Trouble stood on loyalty. That was one thing that Trouble said during the court hearing, that Madam was big on loyalty. And she literally stood 10 toes down for Madam. Y'all, I thought this was about to be the end of Trouble. But as we can see, y'all, Trouble ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So salute, I guess, to the exotic dancers or the male exotic entertainers and Trouble for holding Madam down. Girl, Trouble, you get to live to fight, or I should say dance, another day. Anyway, y'all, stay locked in. I'll be back with another recap of the shenanigans that all went down on All the Queen's Men. Thank you for tapping in. It's your girl, Tika Deshawn, right here at All Things Ruthless. Don't forget to hit that like, share, as well as that subscribe button. All right, you guys, I'm up out of here. Stay ruthless.